All right, welcome to another ranking video by Connor. These are my top 25 rankings and receiving votes for the upcoming Week 15 Conference Championship Week in college football. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So my number one team, of course, is still Ohio State. They're undefeated 12-0. They finally beat Michigan yesterday. Number two, I still have undefeated Indiana at 2. They play each other this week, so someone's going to lose this week. There's only going to be one undefeated team in the country after Saturday, either Ohio State or Indiana. They play each other in the Big Ten title game. My number 3 team is Georgia. They are 11-1 and will be in the SEC title game. My number 4 team is Texas Tech. They're 11-1 in the Big 12 title game. Number 5, I have Ole Miss. They're 11-1 and in the college football playoff. All these teams so far that I've listed are in, no matter what, in the college football playoff. My number 6 team is BYU. They are 11-1. They have 2 ranked wins against Arizona and Utah. And their only loss was to a top 4 team at Texas Tech. So I have BYU 11-1. At 6, and then at 7, I have Texas A&M. They finally lost their first game at Texas this past week. They're 11-1, so they go down 4 spots from 3 to 7. And Texas A&M's only great win this year was on the road at Notre Dame. See, BYU has more ranked wins than Texas A&M. That's why I have BYU ahead of Texas A&M. So BYU 6, Texas A&M 7. Number 8, I have Oregon. They're 11-1. And by the way, Texas A&M and Oregon are locks to be in the playoff. They can't be in their conference championship game, but they've done enough in the regular season to be in with only 1 loss. So Oregon at 8. They beat at Washington pretty convincingly. Number 9, I have Oklahoma. They should be in the playoff at 10-2. I think they've done enough. They're number 9. Number 10, I have Alabama. They're not a for sure team in the playoff yet. If they lose, Alabama's also in the SEC title game against Georgia. If Alabama loses that game at 3 losses, and if BYU wins in the Big 12 title game, they could kick out Alabama. So I have Alabama 10 at 10-2. 11, I have Miami at 10-2. I don't know how they're going to make it because they're not in their conference title game. So I don't know. If any teams should get kicked out, it should be Notre Dame because Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head, and they both have the same record, and they can't be in a conference title game. So I have Miami 11, and then 12, I have Notre Dame. They can't go past 12. They can't. I mean, Miami, Notre Dame is 12. And they're 10-2. 13, I have Texas. So Texas was 16 for me last week with that good win over A&M. They go up 3 spots for me. So they're 13 at 9-3. I mean, Texas is the only team in the country, I think, to have 3 current top 15 victories. They have 2 top 10 victories over Texas A&M and Oklahoma, and they beat both of those teams convincingly. And then they beat a top 15 Vanderbilt team as well. And then they lost the 2 playoff teams in Ohio State and Georgia on the road. So their only bad loss is Florida. If they just would have beat Florida, they would for sure be in. But I have Texas at 13. 14, I have Vanderbilt. Yes, I know Vanderbilt has a better record at 10-2 versus Texas 9-3. But Vanderbilt doesn't have any ranked wins. I don't have Tennessee ranked. I don't have Missouri ranked. They don't have any ranked wins, and those 2 teams are the best wins on their schedule. All their really big games this year, they lost. They lost to Texas and Alabama. So they're 10-2. I have Texas ahead of them because they beat them, and they have a better resume than Vanderbilt, even with 1 more loss. So I have Vanderbilt 14. I have Utah 15, also at 10-2. Utah and Vanderbilt are pretty similar, I feel like. So I have Utah 15. 16, I have Virginia. They're in the ACC title game. They're 10-2. So if Virginia wins, they should be in the playoff. 17, I have North Texas. They're 11-1. They're in the American title game. 18, I have James Madison. They're 11-1. They're in the Sun Belt title game. 19, I have Tulane. They're 10-2, and they're in the American title game at home against North Texas. So whoever wins that game of North Texas Tulane is most likely in the playoff. And 20, I have USC at 9-3 at 20. They did beat Michigan, but all like their major big games they lost, like Oregon and Notre Dame. And they also lost to Illinois, who's 8-4. But I have USC at 20. 21, I have Houston. They're 9-3, and they did beat Arizona. That's why I have Houston 21, and I have Arizona 22, because they lost to Houston, but Arizona and Houston both won at Arizona State. So I have Arizona 22, and they barely lost home to number 6 BYU in 2 overtimes. So I have Arizona 22. 23, I have Michigan. Michigan at 23, they're 9-3. So they lost to Oklahoma, they lost to USC, and they lost to Ohio State. So basically all of Michigan's major big games of the season they lost as well. They don't have any marquee wins, but I have Michigan 23. 24, I have Navy. Navy's 9-2. They're not in their conference title game, but they still have the Army game in a couple weeks. So Navy's 9-2. They did win at Memphis, and they did beat South Florida. They did lose at number 12 Notre Dame, and they did lose at 17 North Texas. So I have Navy 24, and 25, I have UNLV. UNLV is 10-2. Had a pretty decent season at 10-2. And then on my receiving votes, 26, I have South Florida. They're 9-3. 27, I have New Mexico is at 27. 28 is Old Dominion. They're 9-3. They actually barely lost to Indiana. They only lost by 13 at Indiana the first game of the season. So I have Old Dominion at 28. 29, I have San Diego State. They're 9-3. They barely lost in 2 overtimes at New Mexico this week. So I have San Diego State at 29 at 9-3. And then 30, a surprise team this year, I have Kennesaw State. They're 9-3. And I believe they're in their conference championship game in the Conference USA. So I have Kennesaw State at 30 at 9-3. Those are my rankings for this week in week 15.